We are all facing great uncertainty about the world of value-based payments. What will it look like? What outcomes will be measured? How will it change our daily work? What we do know is that payers will only contract with organizations that can demonstrate value. How do we increase our value? The first step is to improve access. We need to get people in the door and then engage them successfully so they come back. In this era of fast-paced change, we are often pulled in too many directions, and the fundamentals, like access, can fall out of focus. Imagine you go to a restaurant. It's crowded. There are a lot of people waiting for tables that are packed too closely together. The hostess barely makes eye contact with you as she takes your name and says in a dismissive tone that it'll be at least an hour. You wait. After a while, you're feeling frustrated, hungry, and uncomfortable. Finally, you're seated. But even though you have a table, your server is ignoring you. Someone eventually comes to take your order. You ask for a burger, and it seems to take forever. When it finally arrives, it tastes fine, but the whole experience left you feeling dissatisfied. Would you go back? Probably not, because the food is only one part of the restaurant experience. The fact is, customer service matters. Of course, in many ways, what we do is very different from a restaurant, because people come to see us not for entertainment or enjoyment, but because they are seeking help. This places an even greater responsibility on all of us to ensure that people are greeted with warmth and respect. What would make people want to come back? What would make people recommend our services to others? Every single interaction a person has with our program has an impact. So in order to improve access, there are a number of factors that need to be considered. First is your website. This might be people's initial interaction with you. How easy is it to navigate? Is there contact information? Are there outcomes or stories posted so people can see the impact your agency has made? Others may first hear about your program through word of mouth. So how do you develop community connections? I spoke with Lisa Monroe Robinson, the director of an ICL clinic in Canarsie, Brooklyn, serving adults, children, and families, about her approach to improving access.
One of the most important things is not to just have a business or an organization situated in a community, but to also connect to the community, to be part of that community. We like to know who's in the community, what cultures are in the community, whether or not someone is reaching out to us to obtain our services or to obtain information. We try to make ourselves someone that can provide information. And in doing so, we're part of that community and we're seen as a resource. And the purpose of that is to make sure that the community and our clients are aware that what we care about is making sure that they're connected to services.
When someone reaches out to you to schedule an appointment, how easy is it to get through to a live person? How much information is required to make an appointment? How soon can an appointment be scheduled? For site-based programs, is open access an option? Lisa shared her clinic's process.
One of the things to be mindful of in servicing a community around behavioral health is that when someone reaches out, whether it's the consumer themselves or it's another provider or anyone that's acting on behalf of someone who's looking for services, is to make sure that the process is simplified, not something that's complicated. In terms of the initial information that we obtain for intake, we try to keep that simple, basic demographic information, basic insurance information, and maybe just a brief description of why a person may be seeking services. And then from there, we look to schedule an appointment. At the clinic, we have what's called open access, and that's where anyone can come in for services and be seen during that course of the day or during a certain block of time, and it's not going to be a long wait.
When people arrive for their first appointment, the physical environment makes an impression. How accessible is the building? Is the space clean? Is it welcoming? Does the environment promote recovery?
The environment of the clinic is important to pay attention to. We want to make sure that our clients and the consumers that come to the clinic are feeling comfortable. They're feeling that they can get information, they can relax, they can feel safe. So what we've often found helps is to have posters or information that has inspirational messages, and that there's artwork that's often inspirational, things that kind of put people in a relaxed state of mind, help them to interpret their experience at the clinic as well as in the world and what they're dealing with in a very different way.
Lisa also emphasized the importance of the role of reception.
I like to think of the clinic as a family. And so that the staff here are all part of a family coming together for a common cause for the community. And so each person has a separate role. And to that end, what we do know is that, for instance, our reception staff, they're typically the first point of access and the first voice, the first face to our clinic. Our awning says people get better with us. And so how do you kind of translate that into someone who's having a first contact with the clinic? And sometimes it's not always in handing a brochure and hoping that someone reads that brochure, but it's by demonstrating it with a warm voice and with a friendly face, a smile. And we've often gotten feedback from our clients as well that, they may have come in with having had a bad day, a bad week, and when they come in and they see that smile from the receptionist, that sort of changed their entire attitude. And that's the message that we want to get across, because that's where the healing process begins.
During the first meeting with a care manager, therapist, or prescriber, is the person asked to sit through long, complicated assessments? Did they feel rushed? Did they feel their questions or concerns were addressed? Do they feel confident that the services offered will help them? In taking steps to improve access, part of the process must include how you will measure it. Key pieces of data to think about in measuring access include the time between the referral and the first appointment, the time from the first to the second appointment, the amount of time it takes to be seen by a prescriber, the rate of missed appointments, and the rate of people that drop out of care. Surveys can also be a rich source of data.
We don't just rely on what we're hoping is working. We'd like to hear back from our consumers, and it's completely anonymous, and they're able to give us feedback. And we use that feedback to inform us, what things should we continue to do? What things do we need to do differently so that we're servicing our community based on what they're telling us that they need? And what we've often found is that a lot of consumers are very willing to let us know what their experience is. And they often put comments on the surveys. This is a place where I can feel safe. This is a place where I can express whatever I'm feeling. And I feel that my clinician or my therapist listens to me. And that's exactly what we want to know. How are we making an impact on them? And how are we changing things around and making their lives better?
The experience we provide for people matters. Here are some improving access do's and don'ts. Be responsive and available. This could mean staying open beyond traditional office hours, being available by phone after hours, or using other types of communication such as text messaging. Be respectful and courteous. Use a friendly, polite tone of voice. Listen. Give your undivided attention to the person in front of you. Take responsibility for negative experiences. Everyone on the team needs to learn how to apologize without defensiveness. Don't keep people waiting without explanation or respect for their time. Don't make things overcomplicated by having too many forms or using complicated language. Don't ignore complaints and feedback. They provide useful information. And finally, as customer service expert Micah Solomon says, get your hellos and goodbyes right.